and especially this topic of personal branding is very interesting for me also. So it has been a pleasure to learn about this and to present also for you. Um, this is a bit of my background. So I'm an associate professor of international marketing, and I'm also an external professor at UWL in Hamburg, where I'm also a member of the Senate. And then through my company, I have been acting as a business consultant for several organizations, as well as some global organizations like the World Bank. To the left here are two of my key books: Global Marketing, 8th edition, which is being sold worldwide, and also in your region. And then the other book is this Marketing Management, 4th edition. And I've also been involved recently in social media marketing, and this is one of the books that I'm selling online through Amazon, social media marketing. And that is a kind of self-publishing project. And just to tell a little bit where I come from and where I work in Denmark and live in Denmark, in this part of Denmark here. So over here you see the capital, Copenhagen, and down here is where I live, close to the German border here, in a small town called Sønderborg. And this is the town I'm living in and working in. And here to the right is the university. And I have my role there as an associate professor. And also my friend and good colleague, Mohan Agarwal, has also been there. And I know that he also enjoyed it there. So that is where I work. And just to start up with the topic, the personal branding is, of course, a kind of extension of normal branding, one of the key concepts in marketing. And the business is the part that somehow try to communicate to the market with the brand. So we have the business here coming out with the brand, and that is then communicated to the market, to consumers, to B2C consumers, B2B customers. And then, of course, there's also a kind of feedback here. So if the audience in the market like the product, they may like it so well that they will react with the brand loyalty and come back to the company, to the business here. So that is a circle we work with in traditional branding. So that is a kind of relationship between company and the market. And it's also an emotional brand, an emotional bond reflected by the brand. So if we should give a definition on what branding is about in general, then we can say that a brand is a promise that is being kept. Because if the promise is being kept, the consumers will return and buy again and again, and they will show some loyalty. And this kind of connection between company and the market in form of branding, we see in many parts of the society. We see it with many brands out there, and some of them you recognize here on this overview here. I guess you all know these brands here. So the question is then, how do we transfer and transform this branding concept to personal branding? So personal branding, I try to define as the effort to communicate and present your value, your personal value to the world. So personal branding is about what you say about yourself to the world. So a personal brand is then rooted in the minds of people in the market. A true personal brand revolves around what other people say about you. So other people are the most important part here, because other people are the ones who have an opinion about you. So you can try and communicate something to the world, but maybe the people out there have another opinion about you, and this kind of gap is maybe not the best situation. So effective personal branding, if you do that, you will that will differentiate you from competition and allow to build trust with prospective clients and employers out there. So it's always good to remember that a personal brand exists whether you have created it for yourself or not. So personal brand will always exist because people out there have an opinion about you, whatever you have tried to create a brand or not. But when you publish something on the internet, online, for example, a blog post, then that will reveal some aspects of your personality to the people out there who read it. And your personal brand develops around the content that you post, from social and search advertising to blog posts and webinars. So it's a broad range of activities that can communicate the brand value of you to the audience out there. So it is about finding out by yourself, who are you as person. There can be different characteristics put on you, and it is good to try to make this kind of analysis in the first round. Try to find out who are you actually, and maybe you can ask some of your friends, some of your colleagues in this kind of analysis. So one of the articles I came by when I prepared this presentation was a article from Business Horizons. So maybe you have access to this journal in your university. And that article is about strategic personal branding and how it pays off. So it's from 2017, and if you have the opportunity, I recommend that, because it's really a good academic article that you find there. In this article, the analysis is around 3 different aspects of personal branding. So first of all, what is a desired personal brand that you want as a person? So how do you want to be perceived by people out there? But that is not the same as to say that is a current personal brand, because you need to find some connection here, because you also have to realize what is the current personal brand that you have, so that you try and compare, what would you like to be, how would you like to be perceived, and try to compare this with your actual personal brand, how you are perceived out there. And of course, also, if you want to get a job somehow and you will be an employee, then it is important to look at what is the connection between your personal brand and the employer brand, the corporate brand in the company where you work. So it is about finding out, are there similarities between these three boxes, or are there some gaps here? And that will then result in this kind of gap analysis. And when you compare these three boxes, maybe you come to the point that you need to reformulate your brand, your personal brand, and then also there can be some new ways to communicate your personal brand to the market. In order to find out these different gaps, this article recommends to go into some questions that you ask, and if you want to analyze other people's personal brand, you can ask some of these questions here. I'll not go into details with that, but the article will go in more detail how you do this. Just some examples of some people, some organizations who have been successful with the formulating personal brands and developing personal brands. And Richard Branson is, of course, a good example. He is this founder of Virgin, and he has a kind of diversified business with many different activities. But the Virgin brand is really something that he has taken, that is somehow connected to Richard Branson. So he has been very good in making a connection between his personal brand and his brand, Virgin. So his personal brand as Richard Branson is very much connected, very well connected to his company brand. This person here also has a personal brand. You may like it or not, but I think we all agree that he has created a personal brand during the time he has been a president. Now it's over, but he is somehow connected to this statement here, "Make America Great Again." And that has been somehow the perception of the Donald Trump personal brand. So he has a very clear personal brand, but of course you may like it or not like it. That's all up to some personal perceptions. Then we also see that sometimes the personal brand can overshadow the corporate brand, the employer brand. And this is maybe a good example. You all know this football player here, and he had his connection to the Manchester United football brand, and sometimes David Beckham has overshadowed the Manchester United brand, at least at some situations, and that is, of course, not the best situation for a company when the personal brand will overshadow the company brand. Maybe Manchester United were somehow happy when David Beckham left Manchester United, because then they had this problem less when they did the corporate branding. This is another example. So even if Messi is as famous and maybe a better football player than David Beckham was, I still think that he has been, he's another personality. He also has a personal brand, but I don't feel that his brand overshadows FC Barcelona. Of course, we know that Messi is a player at FC Barcelona, but I don't feel that he has overshadowed the corporate brand. That has also, of course, to do with his personality. So, how to work with this personal branding? I have some examples here. So one of the ways to analyze what the current branding is about is something I found here. You can always see the links here. So this is from a Swedish lady called Anna Lundberg. And I found her approach was very interesting. So she has started out analyzing her personal brand as a kind of pyramid, where she has the purpose of her personal brand up here at the top. And then it goes down here and will be more tangible down this pyramid. And at the bottom, we have the tangible brand elements. And that can be the name she has, that she is a coach, is a speaker and writer, that she is has some characteristics about her personal life and her professional life. So these are some of the tangible, and this is how she looks like. That's also a kind of tangible element. Then next level here is about credibility, some background information about her career. So that is then this level here, and then she goes into her strength and her skills, her core values, and up here is her purpose with her life and her personal branding in principle. So I think that is a good way to try and analyze current personal branding. Then it is some other tangible elements are, of course, how she's profiled on Google. You see here how some description here to the right, how she's profiled on LinkedIn, and I have also later on an example about my own personal brand, where I have done a little bit of the same. So when you try to communicate your personal brand to the audience or to the world and the society in general, maybe a good model is to use this 6C model that I also have in one of my books, but you can also look into this in this Business Horizon journal, where I found the inspiration for this model. So the 6C model is about a company, and in this case, it's not a company, it's a person. And then content, control, community, conversation, and customers. And then, of course, we also have some influencers here who can bring on the content here created to an online community here, where the content is discussed and commented through this online word of mouth. So this is the 6C model, and that is also a model you can use not only for company, but also for your personal brand, because you couldn't just exchange company with person here, because it's somehow the same. You want to communicate some content about yourself. You can use this model. And also you can use, if you work systematic with the personal brand, and personal branding, you can use this funnel approach, which I also find very good to start up with, where you try to make the audience aware of you as a person. And in principle, you can use all the offline and online tools like a traditional company. Of course, you don't have to use so much on online advertising. Maybe that is not this one here. Maybe that is a bit too expensive. But you can always use word of mouth. You can use online communication, blogs, and so on. You can use SEO, search engine optimization, and you can do it with a very small budget. So I'll show afterwards how I did it. And then you can try and get people into this kind of funnel where people are getting interested in you as a personal brand. And in the end, they may be interested in hiring you for a job, okay? And that will create some dollars here for you in the end. So working with personal branding can really pay off. It can get you a job in the end. And then hopefully the job is so interesting that people tend to keep you in the job and not fire you, so that there is this kind of interaction between you and the company. So that is a funnel approach. And in principle, you can also work with these three elements of online marketing: paid, owned, and earned. Paid is of course connected to something you pay, and if you don't have so much budget, you can always try and work with at least the last year. So at least you can work with LinkedIn, Facebook, and other of these platforms in order to create some awareness about yourself. So some example of people who have created some famous personal brands. First, influencer marketing is of course very much connected to social media marketing, but it's also relevant here to look at influencer marketing, because if you are creating a personal brand, it is interesting to look at how many contacts do you have, how many followers do you have. And here is this kind of characteristics about different types of influencers. So the big ones, the big personal brands are connected to mega influencers with more than 1 million followers. Then we have macro personal brands and influencers. We have mid-tier, micro, and nano. So down here, you don't have so many followers or connections, but maybe for companies it is relevant to use you as a personal brand or as an influencer, because you have very specialized information about some specific topics like computer or social media or something else, fashion or something. So if you have very specialized knowledge, then companies would be interested in using you as micro or nano influencers. So the more specialized knowledge you have, the more attractive you are somehow also. So you don't need to be a kind of mega brand here in order to be attractive. Just one example, that was a company who actually used a mega influencer. That is a company nearby where I live. It is a company that sells some different healthcare brands. They sell diapers both for adults and for kids. This is for the adults, but they also developed, tried to get a foothold in kids diapers in the US market. And so this case is about how they actually penetrated the US market by using mega market influences with a very broad personal brand and very famous personal brands. So the company is this Abena here, and they wanted to penetrate the US market. That is the biggest in the world. So the total world market is about 50 billion US dollar. The US market alone is about 6 billion US dollar. The market is dominated by two major players, Procter and Gamble and Kimberly Clark. And this company then tried to penetrate the US market. And of course, the brand awareness was not big. And they developed this brand especially for the US market, and they called it Bamboo Nature. And of course, they had developed special diapers for different age groups, so that they have different sizes of kids' diapers. And then they thought, we have a goal of penetrating the US market, but how do we do it? And then they came by this Kardashian family. And at this point, Khloe Kardashian was pregnant, and somehow she had found out that there was this Danish company with this kind of green profile, kind of green branding, nature, etc. So she became interested in the brand, and she contacted the Danish company and said, okay, if we get to an agreement, I would be willing to be a kind of endorser, a market influencer for your brand. And the Danish company said, yes, this is interesting, of course. So they made an agreement that Khloe Kardashian would profile herself as a kind of brand endorser for this Danish Bamboo Nature here, especially when they sold through Amazon. And of course, she needed to get some diapers for her new baby, but of course also a few dollars, if not many dollars, to do that. And of course, Kardashian is somehow developing very famous personal brands, each of them. So they all have their own personal brand. Just take Kylie Jenner. So this person here, she is enormous. She has enormous influence in the market. So whenever she says something, the whole market will be somehow influenced, and it can go up or can go down depending on what she is saying. So at some point in 2018, she said that she had some critical comment here on Snapchat. So she commented, "Ooh, this is so sad." So because she didn't like it at that time, and by the end of the day that she had said that, the Snapchat stock had dropped 6%. And that was an amount of approximately 1.3 billion US dollar, up to 1.6. But so it is enormous influence by these influencers that have this kind of very famous personal brand. The other members have also their own personal brand, of course. So they all are really active developing their personal brands. Kim Kardashian is maybe the brand that has the most value, but Kylie Jenner is also enormous. Okay, my own experience with personal branding, so I'm not famous in that way, but I have also made my experience with the personal branding, and um, I try to actually try and analyze what is the content that I can bring with my personal brand. And of course, I bring something with my name. I bring something about being author of some textbooks to the world. I'm somehow perceived as kind of specialist in global marketing, and I'm also supplier of educational materials and solutions in marketing, and can give also advice there. My objectives following this kind of my current personal brand, my objectives coming out of that is that I really much I like to have as much connection between my personal brand and my employer brand. So you see up here, my employer brand is this here, University of Southern Denmark, and this is the logo. So I find that it's very important to have a big overlap between my personal brand and the university brand. So that is one objective that I have for the future. And another thing is that my personal brand should support my private company. I have a company called Hollensen APS, or Hollensen Limited, and of course this my personal brand should also support my company. And then very important is also that I find it very important to interact with other brands out there, and that is in order to create win-win situations between my personal brands and then other personal brands out there. And then how to communicate my personal brand. I use Google, of course. There is a description of me on Google. This is in Danish, but you can also find it in English. So that is one way. And then, of course, connection to my employer brand is done via the CV that I have on the university website. So here you can find my CV and articles, etc. If you want really to dig into my what I have written. And ORCID is another way of profiling the academic part of me. So that is the ORCID ID, and that is something I connect when I write something academically. Then I add this ORCID ID, and there you can see also some of my production. And of course, LinkedIn is maybe the most important communication tool that I use. I have around 28,000 connections out there. So I'm well connected on LinkedIn, and that is the platform I use most. I don't use the other platforms. I have a profile on Facebook, etc., but I don't use it much. So, but I use LinkedIn as the communication tool. And there was some researcher who made a kind of ranking of who had the most in marketing in general, who has the most connections on LinkedIn. And I found myself actually quite close to Phil Kotler. So Phil Kotler has 27,000 followers. I have 20, yeah, a little less than him. So I thought, okay, in LinkedIn you are well among the top guys. So that is the way I try to communicate. Number one here is actually one of the professors at Harvard Business School. Anita there. And then I try to communicate through LinkedIn. And this is one campaign I did in 2020 when I launched this book here, the 8th edition of my global marketing. I did some posts, and always remember that this is for free. You know, you just have to invest your time. You don't have to invest money, because using LinkedIn in this way is absolutely for free. So that was one of the successful campaigns I did last year. One of the advances with the LinkedIn is also that you can see some statistics about how many people are looking at your posts, from companies, from job profiles, and also geographically. Then you can get some statistics. In this case, you see here that there were, on this post I did, 16,000 views, 754 reactions, 78 comments. And what is very important is when you do this kind of campaigning, try to communicate something you have done, or communicate your own characteristics. Then it's important that you try and get somebody else also to do some posting together with your own posting. And this is then done by Pearson. That was a parallel posting that was done. And both these two campaigns work well together very nicely. So it ended up as a kind of quite successful campaign, also because I got some other marketing people to show my book on LinkedIn, and show and write something about my book, how well they thought it was, etc. So I really tried actively to motivate some of the academics out there and some professional marketing people to make a photo of themselves showing my book. And overall, this was one of the marketing experts from Austria, Brigitte, and she also did that. And so this works very well. And I talked about win-win situation, trying to get your personal brand to work together with other brands, personal brands out there. And here you see, for example, one of my contacts and very good friends, Mohan Agarwal, professor that you all know of course now. And we made many different things together. And actually, I feel that together we form a very good team. We use each other's personal brands, and it is really a win-win situation that we can benefit from, both of us. So that was an event where we made an honor for one of the very famous Indian marketing professors, Jagdish, and that we made a month ago or so. So that was all. So no. So that was all, and then I will try to answer some of your questions. I hope you could all understand what I said. Was it okay? And if you have any questions, maybe you can ask them on the chat. Then I'll try and look into the chat here.
Svend, can you hear me, please?
Yes,
are you able to hear me now?
Yes, no. I can hear you.
In that case, Is it okay, Svend, that either you look into the questions in the chat box or I handle the questions on your behalf? Okay, here is one question. What is the best platform? Are you able to see them? Svend, please, in the chat box. I know that you're not able to, but if you can, that will be wonderful. If not, then I will answer those questions on your behalf. I don't think he can hear me.
Yeah, hi, Mohan.
Hi, sorry, Svend. I don't think you can hear us, right? So,
No, maybe you, if you can repeat some questions for me, I'll try and answer.
okay. The first question is that what is the best platform for personal branding? Best platform for personal branding.
Yeah. Okay, the best platform for personal branding is, of course, dependent on who you are. So I would say if you are in consumer business, fashion, maybe Snapchat is the best personal branding platform. Facebook is maybe mainly for old people nowadays. But like Snapchat is maybe one of the platforms that you should work with then. But it all depends on what kind of product that you're working with. For me, when I write books and I work with companies and academics, the LinkedIn platform is the best one for me.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah. Hello, Svend.
Yeah.
Yeah. The second question is that can you what is the best possibility of joining the personal branding? What is the possibility? Means, is it really possible, or we are only talking as theoretical?
It is possible for everybody to use personal branding, and it is not just something for famous people or people that you know of from television, etc. It is something you can work with as student very easily, because you can try and analyze what do you think do you think you communicate to the audience, to people out there, and then you can try afterwards to ask people out there what do they think about you, and is there a connection between what you think yourself and what are people out there thinking about you. So that is a gap you can try and analyze. And then based on this, you can try and communicate to the market and use the platforms that are available for you. So it is not just something you work with in theory. It's really something you can work with in practice. And it's actually a way to get a job. Because if employers out there are looking at you and seeing, oh, you are interesting to take a conversation with, they would contact you and ask, what can you do for our company? And then you can get into a dialogue, and maybe in the end you can get a job.
So, yeah, the third question for you is that what is the difference between personal branding and self-marketing or show off? What is the difference between marketing and self-marketing and personal branding, and show off and personal marketing branding?
Yeah. Very good question. You are good in questioning. So I think the personal branding is based on analysis, you know, and that's where you can utilize your academic skills. Show off is just a kind of thing you do without having academic background. Everybody can do show offs. But what you should do here is, as I also said, try to analyze yourself. Try to come up with some of the characteristics that you contain as persons, and try to talk to some friends, to family, to some of your student colleagues, and ask about what do they think about you. And then if you compare your own analysis of yourself with the audience perception of you, then you have a very good ground for developing your personal brand. And that is where your academic background comes into the play. And that is totally different exercise than show off. So everybody can show off. Um, and it's not always, it doesn't have anything to do with the person itself. It can just be something you would like to have some people to think that about you, but it doesn't fit with your own personality. Then it's not good. It has to fit with your own personality. So it's important to get this connection between what do you think about yourself and also the audience thinking about you. Yeah.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah. The final question for you, and then we will let you go. Is there any impact on personal branding in the post-pandemic era? Has it become better, or is it the same? Is there any impact of the same? Final question. Then we'll let you go. Thank you.
No problem. It has been nice to interact with you. Also in this way, I think that Professor Mohan you are very good in communicating and always find solutions in situations like this. So thank you very much, Mohan. But and in just to answer the question, I think that when we look at the pandemic, it is, of course, there is an increasing demand, I think, for people to communicate with other people, because now we cannot communicate in a personal, face-to-face way. We have to communicate via these online media. And that is very problematic. So therefore, in these pandemic times, it is even more important to create a personal brand online. So always think about the online aspect of personal branding. That is the most important right now, because you cannot go, if you want a job in a company, you cannot, it's very difficult to go to the companies physically and have meetings there. You have to communicate online. And how do company managers find you? They can only find you through these online platforms where you communicate about yourself. So I think it's getting even more important these days. Thank you very much for joining. I hope the best for you all. Yeah.
Thank you. I want to thank you also. I'm so sorry I had to use international call, then team and everything like that. So forgive me for that.
No problem. Thank you very much, Professor Mohan, and thanks for joining to student. I hope you can use my recommendations for personal brandings in the future application processes when you want to have a job out there.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate
Thank you very much,
God bless
Doctor.
you.
You. Thank you very much.
On behalf of the University of West London, I really,
Thank you,
really
sir.
want
Thank
to
you very much.
thank you.
This is Dr. Mashkul.
Once again, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mohan.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, our session will continue for another 5-10 minutes because of the communication issues with Dr. Svend. I had to use some innovative method by calling him on phone because he cannot hear us while I can hear and see him. So we had to figure out some way to keep going. I want to thank him and thank each one of you. I would now ask Miss Anupama to say a few things, and then I would also like to make a very attractive offer to each and every person who has joined today in our inaugural webinar. Miss Anupama, please. Anupama, are you there?
Yes, sir. So,
Go ahead, please.
so,
Go
sir,
ahead, please.
you like to take up the remaining questions?
No, first I would request you to introduce our, university and the introduction that you couldn't make, and then I will say a few things about it. Go ahead.
Yeah, right, sir. Thank you very much for your support, sir. And Dr. Svend Hollensen also for a great insight about personal branding. And today's session was brought to you by the newly launched Innovation and Career Center, the ICC at the University of West London UAE branch campus, that honors the central promise of our university, that is to be the career university, and to help develop the qualities, skills, and experience one needs in order to excel in their career. Dr. Mohan, thank you very much for introducing us to Dr. Svend Hollensen, who is the Professor of International Marketing at the University of Southern Denmark, who spoke on the topic of role of personal branding. Thank you once again very much, sir.
Thank you very much, Ms. Anupama. First of all, I am really grateful to the University of West London for introducing us to a very different kind of university, which is what is known as career university. Now, many universities talk about placement, career, internship, experiential education as a part of their normal structure. But this is the university which says, and in fact also perceived in the market as a career university, because 98% of the students in this particular university either get a job or go for higher education within 6 months of graduating from that university. Now that is the reason why this university is called Career University. Ours is the only campus in the Middle East, even though we are located in Ras Al Khaimah, but in a way you could say that we are the Middle East campus of this University of West London so far. Our goal is not only to provide you the best education of the West, like London, but also provide you the most scintillating industrial experiential aspects of Dubai, where dreams come true. And these dreams come true in terms of variety of business opportunities, employment opportunities, entrepreneurship opportunities, partnership opportunities, collaboration opportunities. And that is why this particular university, University of West London, Ras Al Khaimah, decided that we will not only go into the academic city of this Ras Al Khaimah part, but also create some new structures to provide strength to our promise. And that is this Innovation and Career Center. Now, this Innovation Career Center has two parts. Part number one is what we call employability. And part number two is variety of innovations that are taking place, which will be showcased at our university. At the same time, we will also be using not only for our own students, but also for the executives, for the managers, for the practicing people who are coming here. We are also going to be the first attraction center for international exchange students, coming to us as a part of the Summer Institute, which is one more, mission that we have in our new campus, which I very, very much strongly invite you to visit us in the next 7-8 days when we are fully there. We are in the process of moving there because we needed greater space, because we needed greater facilities for our students, and our leadership team, our management leadership team is working day and night full. Every minute of theirs is focused on our smooth transition from the present location to the new location. So I also invite you there. You should also meet our team headed by Mr. Sajesh as well as Anupama, who will be telling you the different aspects of our university which will make you employable. So why this particular workshop was designed today with such a great professor of marketing? As you can see, he's among the top 10 marketing influencers in the world, almost equal to Philip Kotler. Now, he came here at my invitation because we both were, professors in Denmark at the same time and have worked a number of years together. But the point that I wanted to bring through him is that employability depends upon personal branding, the distinct persona that you can share with others. Many of us may not know that this personal branding as a term was used in 1997 first time by the management practice guru Tom Peters, the person who spoke about something called In Search of Excellence. And he used this word personal branding almost 22 years ago. But the word came into practice and strong practice only in the last 4 or 5 years, and especially if I have to say the people like either the Richard Branson or Donald Trump or many other people who built an empire around their name itself. And that particular name was not a show off, that was a marketing asset. That was a marketing set of benefits. So many people who believe that personal branding is nothing but a show off, they are actually not understanding the clear difference between marketing and show off. But show off is to depress the other person, to impress the other person, to show that you're superior than other persons. But the personal branding is that I have a set of new benefits which can be useful to you, and with you I can also be further useful. So there is a value creation aspect in personal branding, while in the show off it is only a temporary feeling of showing that I'm better than you are, or you are not so good as I am. So therefore, this is one more. The other thing was self-marketing. Self-marketing and personal branding. These two things are slightly different. Self-branding is when you brag about yourself, when you exaggerate what you have, and you don't have those things. So as a result, when you do self-marketing, you can be successful once or twice. But very soon customers will find you out, and then they will have no respect for you. But in personal branding, you have to have longevity. You have to have permanency. You have to have certain values which others can recognize in you even when you are down. So in self-marketing, everybody will criticize you when you are down. But in personal branding, people will empathize with you. They may say, well, brand is struggling, but brand is not down. So personal branding is a medium to long-term strategy, which can also face difficulties, but then those particular difficulties is only a temporary phrase. Then other thing that you had mentioned about pandemic. I think during this particular pandemic also, the value of personal branding has become a lot more important than probably it was. Why? Because in the pandemic, two things came out in anyone to be very important. The first one was empathy, and the second one was well-being of others. Empathy is that you are having good feelings about the people who are down. You can understand them. You have a true sense of belonging to them, even though you are not able to do something. But in the second case, that you are taking care of others, that is a tangible action of helping people. So like for instance, that to give you one example, that during pandemic, I am also suffering, and my neighbor is also suffering, and I cannot help In that case, that will be the example of empathy. But I am well and my neighbor is not well, and I go and serve food to those particular people from a distance, in a safe distance, in a safe manner, then that is taking care of the people. So therefore, empathy and taking care of the people are very essential part of any personal branding during the pandemic era. In fact, if you see that very soon you will see that the competitive advantage of a company will not be the price, will not be the brand name, will not be the wonderful features that the product has. The competitive advantage in years to come will be safety and wellness of your customers. If you can take care of them safely, if you can take care of them in a manner in which you are able to take care of their health, safety, and everything else, people will like you more. And finally, they will also be liking you if you have got a strategic purpose, and that purpose is called missionary purpose. The fifth P in marketing will be the purpose. Purpose means mission. Purpose means goals that you have. Purpose means that the actions that you have in order to implement your. So that is why I thought that this particular thing I should also explain to you. Believe me, everybody knows that how many people I know, but that many people think that maybe I'm self-marketing or networking, as you saw in the case of the Svend Hollensen. People don't remember you as a result of networking. People remember you because of your brand or your branding or your brand on display during interaction. So just collecting cards from each other or knowing each other's name doesn't make you a brand. The brand is when you are a set of values which others also see you. So talking about yourself big is not necessarily a personal branding. Talking about yourself in the correct manner is the branding. And that is what we thought we will. So this was the thing I thought I will share with you. Of course, many other questions have been asked. And the one question I really wanted to take it from Itzel Mama Leon. I'm sorry if she's here or he's here. That's okay. Otherwise, I'll still answer. And that answer was the personal branding. Will it work for franchising business? I think you missed the point, I'm afraid. We are talking about branding of individuals. We are not talking about branding of business. So therefore, there is no question of this question. This question will be taken care of like branding of a business. Here what we are saying is that you as a person, as a persona, are you a brand? Are people able to see you as a distinct person distinct from other competition? But if you are saying everything about yourself and nobody else is saying anything about yourself, now which means that you are not a brand, you are a bragger. So this is the difference between a brand and a bragger. A bragger only talks about himself. A brand where others talk about yourself with the same kind of features that you believe you have. So others' opinion about you is the most important thing in your brand, not your self-opinion about yourself. And I hope this particular point is clear to the audience. So with this, if there's any skills required, skills, personal branding, very good question again. Personal skills or skills required in personal branding, number one is the ability to truthfully self-analyze. If you can analyze your weaknesses, if you can analyze your strengths, and if you have a plan to make some kind of a difference based on that, then you will be good. So the first skill is, can you truthfully talk about yourself? If you say that you are wrong, can you openly say I'm wrong? Can you openly apologize that you are wrong? If you have got that ability, then you definitely have the ability to brand yourself personally. In other words, ability to say wrong when you are wrong, and ability to enjoy when somebody says something wonderfully about yourself, rather than being coy or modest about it. So a brand does not shy away from others' praise, and a brand does not hesitate in calling himself, herself out when you are out of line. So out of line, if you are out of line, say I am out of line, my apologies, I will not do it again. That will be the part of your branding. But you know, polishing it, explaining it, saying this and that, because you do not have the skill to even to say sorry in the right way. Now that is the first element of branding. So I hope this particular part is clear to you also. Any other question you have, I will be most happy to answer that. Okay, all right. Now the question is that how University of West London will help you, or the center will help you. So here is my offer to you. As soon as we reach in our new campus and we are comfortable, I am personally going to organize a workshop on personal branding, and that particular workshop will be open only and only to our students under employability lab. So employability lab will be doing this particular workshop, and in the first 10 days, and this is my promise to you, in the first 10 days of our settling there, and each one of you will be coming there for about 4 to 5 hours in one particular day, and I will personally take you step by step to personal branding by using LinkedIn, by using Facebook, by using Instagram. Both online and offline assets will be used together in order to create personal brands, so that our promise of this career university, our promise that this particular university means a lot as far as your own career and employment and entrepreneurship is concerned, it will be there. So this is where I just wanted to stop and want to hear from you if you have any further questions. And I'm very much thankful to you that even though so many people are there, still 65, I really want to understand. Thank you, Faim, for your wonderful feedback. Appreciate it. Any other feedback will also be, you can, put it in the chat. You can look me up when you come to the new campus. I'm sure that when you come here, our marketing team, our customer support team, each and every one will be with you. Thank you, Isa, for saying that. I appreciate it. I'm so sorry, that Dr. Svend's thing couldn't be together, but I think we didn't do that well. I want to thank my colleague, Anupama, for playing so well with me that we found solution. This is what we call, by the way, in India, jugaad. You understand the meaning of jugaad? This was the demonstration of jugaad, that though this particular thing was not, so then I was making international calls to tell him the questions. He was answering, and then we were able to get it going, because Anupama and I were very worried in the first 10 minutes that how will it go, but I think we did not too bad. Thank you very much, all of you. So just tell me one answer to one question. How many of you will be coming to the workshop which we will be conducting at UWL for personal branding, most probably in the third week of January? Third week of January or last week of January. Thank you, Nihal. Thank you, Sheikh. Looking forward to it. Wonderful. Right? Isa, please bring this particular thing to other friends also, other colleagues also. I also want to thank at this particular moment our management team, especially Dr. Rafi, who is our director. I also want to thank my other wonderful colleagues, Dean Dr. Murli, then Director Zahir, Marketing Manager Sajesh, and many other people who are here who helped create this particular thing together. And I want to thank each one of them. Remember, we cannot do things without our own teamwork. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
And thank you once again, Dr.
Thank you very much. Yeah, you can conclude, Anupama. You may conclude.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Thank you once again, Dr. Mohan Agarwal, who himself is the Deputy Dean at the University of West London, UAE branch campus, and he is a well-known faculty for marketing and president of the Indo-Gulf Marketing Association, Dubai. And this is probably the best launch of the Innovation and the Career Center, and the best way to showcase that University of West London is a career university again. And to conclude, I like to invite all of my audience.
One second, Anupama. There is one person who is raising the hand. Let me see who is the
Yes.
gentleman. Somebody is
Dr. Ajay Kaushik.
Ajay Kaushik. Yeah, go ahead. Dr. Ajay Kaushik. What's
Dr.
the question,
Ajay
sir?
Kaushik, if you have any questions, please type in the chat section.
Yes, please type in the chat box if he's there. Emmanuel, you're welcome to enroll in the university. Just please write your name and number in the Google sheet which has been given to you, and someone from our university, he will contact you. Emmanuel. All others, please feel free to leave your name, contact number, and so that Miss Anupama will contact you. Marketing team will contact you. Yes, Anupama. Sorry, go ahead, please.
Right. Yeah, if you have any further questions, you can definitely log into our website and type in your inquiry request. If you have any questions, we can also arrange virtual sessions to discuss more about the courses. And I'd like to invite all of you and your friends and family to visit our campus, which is the only branch campus of University of West London in the Middle East in the Ras Al Khaimah, to find out more about variety of courses that focuses on the emerging business and technology ideas like computer science, cyber security, finance and accounting, and masters in business administration. Right. And with that note, I would like to end today's session. Thank you all, and bye for now. Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye. Bye, everyone. Bye.